The college baseball experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times your entry with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by the Mega Memorial Merch Sale. 15% off 15% off of everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code SGPN May. And it is showtime once again here back on the college baseball experience. What's going on? My name is Noah Bieniek, aka 77. We're coming off of a 4-0 card, one parlay, three straights. All of them come through. We swept the card yesterday, 17-11, picking every game straight up. We are recording this at 6:42 a.m. On Saturday morning. I have not gone to sleep yet. Guys, everybody that's hitting me up on Twitter, DMing me, or just right on the timeline. Yes, I plan on doing shows every single night in the postseason of college baseball. This will be the third straight year that I do that. However, the odds don't come out until like the middle of the night, like 2:30 a.m. is usually kind of been the sweet spot when the entire slate gets released. And then I handicap. So it takes me a couple of hours after the odds even come out to really prep for the show. I'm the only one on the show. It's a solo show. So I gotta come prepared with some stats. That's just I don't have somebody to bounce ideas off of. So I'm gonna come with a bunch of stats. And it takes me a good minute to corral some stats for most of these teams. And I'm also looking for starting pitchers. And today specifically, there as you get further on into the weekend, it's harder and harder to find pitchers. It takes longer and longer the less pitchers that you can find. So, because then you're just trying to put together some puzzle pieces who could possibly be available. And I'm only really looking at that for the bettable matchups that you really kind of are reasonable prices to bet them straight, or some of the bigger conference matchups that we've seen all season long. Again, I'm really happy that the books are offering us most of the mid majors now. However, I'm not wanting to throw my money around on the mid majors if I, one, don't know who's throwing, and two, haven't watched the teams all season long. Because during the regular season, I'm watching the teams that they are offering. It doesn't make any sense to me throughout the regular season to spend time watching other teams that I wouldn't have a chance to bet on. Just doesn't logically make sense. So ramble is over. Let's run through the great Friday slate that I had. And again, not really kind of a surprise at all. Just a day that we were expecting some start and some aces to throw, because that's the normal turn in the rotation. Or if not aces, it was the game two starters, as last weekend, every weekend series was moved up just a day. So I had a good day. It was, most of my locks were at the end of the slate. To begin the slate, it was kind of back and forth fighting to get over the Mendoza line above 500. But the first two we took L's on. Wofford beats UNC Greensboro. This game I didn't catch any. I mean, the entire first half of the slate, I'm asleep. By the way, I am sleeping till like today. I woke up at 3 in the afternoon. Like I said, I'm handicapping these throughout the night. Then I sleep through the morning games, and I just catch up on the scoreboard after. But yeah, Wofford wins against UNC Greensboro 5-2 there. I was kind of surprised in that, because Greensboro, I think they had the advantage of playing one less game than Wofford prior to that. Sam Houston wins 2-0 over Middle Tennessee. I took the Blue Raiders there at plus 220. I thought there was plenty of value there. It was a low scoring game. It was a game script that was fit for a dog to possibly come through. They just didn't push any runs across, and that is what it is. Kansas almost pissed all over themselves with this early lead. They scored 9 runs in the first inning, and they win the game 11-10 against TCU. We had the Jayhawks there at the plus 152 price against TCU. Lamar wins 18-6 over Incarnate Word. We had Lamar there. I was on Virginia, and they got stomped on by Florida State. Florida State scored like 7 runs in the 7th inning, or 9 runs in the 7th inning to end up winning that. It was close early on. Pitchers duel between the two sides. Jamie Arnold, I expected to be pretty solid, and he was. However, I thought that the Virginia lineup would be able to win like a lower scoring game, not a 12-7 firefight that the Noles come out on top. So it is what it is. I took my L there. William and Mary, they win 16-6 against Hofstra. We were on the Tribe. This one, so, oh my God. Right in my backyard. This is like the first year in recent memory that Wright State they're not going to get the auto bid in the Horizon League. So Northern Kentucky beat the Raiders 10-6 in the morning game. Then Wright State had to play again today against Youngstown State, the worst team in the Horizon League. This was, I've got a buddy that bats in the 2-hole on this team. And I mean this in the nicest way possible. They are terrible. I was keeping up with that team throughout the year. Just to, when you have a buddy or somebody on the team, you're going to look at some of the stats to see kind of how they're doing. This team was 3rd to dead last in team batting average like 14 days ago. This team is rough, and all of a sudden the Youngstown State Penguins have caught fire. They've won 4 games this week in the Horizon League tournament, and they're competing for the championship, an auto bid, and they're like 16-40. Like it's terrible. They're in last place in this league. That's actually kind of good. Like Wright State, Northern Kentucky went on the road and knocked off some good teams this season, and Oakland had a nice winning record as well this year. So like if Youngstown State comes out of this, if they get the auto bid, oh my Lord. But I'd be happy for my boy Brett. So that would be really kind of funny if that happens. USC Upstate beats Presbyterian 9-8 there. I didn't catch any of this game, to be honest. It wasn't a good pitching matchup that just kind of got completely wrecked in the handicap. Sanford Mercer, this was my first bet of the day, and this was a really interesting one. So Sanford's pitcher of the year in the conference got hit around early. They kept him around. He just battled through. Sanford just needed him to eat innings, and he did. He got him to the 7th inning, where Sanford put up 9 runs in the 7th inning. They trot him back out there for 1 out. That way he can be in line for a win. He gets the win. Sanford wins 9-7 over Mercer. That was amazing because I woke up to I remember just kind of waking or going in and out at the time because this was in the morning game. However, I remember waking up, my phone was buzzing. There was people commenting on my tweet that nice pick, or like big what were they saying? SoCon pitcher of the year, like my ass or something like that. There's like 3 different ones. And I'm just sitting here laughing because I look at the scoreboard and I had to go look and see what happened. And then Sanford puts up 9 runs in an inning. So, there's 9 innings in a baseball game, guys. I'm always going to say that if somebody comes into my mentions early before a game ends and my team ends up coming out on the right side, there's 9 innings in a baseball game. College, pros, there's 9 innings. Don't come at me in the 4th or the 5th inning, because in college baseball, with the bullpens and some of the shaky defense, these games can flip in a hurry. Southeastern Louisiana wins 11-5 over New Orleans. We had the Lions there. Rice at plus 265 on the picks page was just short again against East Carolina as the Pirates win that game 8-7. They barely escaped there. Liberty wins 6-2 over Louisiana Tech. Didn't really expect that one. Louisville Clemson was another one of those like cardiac Clemson moments where they fall down 6-0 and you're like, okay, why the fuck am I like super attached to this team? But everybody throwing around the term that it's a meaningless game, and then all of a sudden Clemson they come crawling back. Like if that wasn't a meaningless game, they would have just rolled over and died. But this team, they've just got something special in them. I mean the lineup nonstop hits. They are able to rally against opposing bullpens. And they're finding some interesting freshmen in that bullpen too. McGovern and Titsworth are stringing together solid innings now. And it's just two more guys to add to the depth of that pitching staff. One guy might not have his day like today, and other games it often happens early in the game. I don't know why that reason is, but Clemson's just able to mix and match with the pen, and the lineup gets rolling, and they're able to come back. It was like their 24th comeback win this season. So yeah, I'm not going to give up on this Clemson team because they really they don't give up on themselves. VCU wins 13-7 over Richmond. Again, I mentioned it yesterday. My roommate from college is actually an assistant coach for the Spiders this season. They didn't get their way in the first game here against the Rams, but Richmond did win the second game of the day, and now it's Richmond against VCU in a rematch in the A-10 championship final. Today, if Richmond wins the first game, they would have to beat them a second time to get the auto bid, but really kind of interesting there. I'll be rooting for Richmond for sure. Another interesting story here in the WAC, Charlton State ruled Abilene Christian 11-1. We were on the plus money with the Texans. This team, however, they're a new team transitioning to D1 from the D2 ranks. They're not currently eligible to be in the NCAA tournament, to be an NCAA tournament team, because they're still going through that 4-year transition period from the NCAA D2 to D1 when you go up an athletic division level. So the AD already came out and said that they're going to what's the word? Go against, I can't remember the word or whatever, but they're going to try to go against it. They're going to try to fight the NCAA. And at this point, the NCAA ain't winning shit in the courts right now. So Tarleton State could be a postseason team. They just need to beat Cal Baptist once this week, or not this week, today. They just need to beat Cal Baptist once, and they would be an NCAA. They would win the WAC and hopefully be an NCAA tournament team. High Point walked off Charleston Southern 12-11, and then that basically killed Charleston Southern's momentum as they lost another tight one later on in the day, and they were eliminated from that conference tournament. I got this one wrong here. Gonzaga wins 11-5 over St. Mary's. I really thought the Gales were a little bit of a dark horse in the WCC tournament, but that's obviously not the case anymore. I had the right side with the Cornhuskers against Ohio State. Nebraska wins 12-5 there over the Buckeyes. Xavier has been eliminated from the Big East tournament. They are now firmly on the NCAA tournament bubble. Georgetown wins that game over the Musketeers 9-6. Appalachian State wins 10-6 over Troy, and we had the plus money on the picks page with the Mountaineers there. Again, neither team really had much pitching to rely on in this weekend game here, so I was like, you know what, this is a little bit too high on the plus money side here, and I'll take App, and they come through for us. However, Kentucky, I took minus 160 with the Cats. They lose 6-5 against South Carolina. Neither team really had. So Mason Moore is the guy that I was kind of betting on, as he was the third starter for Kentucky the entire year. And I thought they had a little bit of an advantage on the starting bump. However, it didn't quite go our way. Fresno State wins against New Mexico 6-1. I honestly didn't even really look at that box score at all, to be honest. Florida Atlantic wins 10-8 against Charlotte. This was an interesting one on both these offenses, pretty average, but they put up 18 combined runs. So that's telling me that pitching is, almost non-existent for FAU as they continue to advance here, giving up 8 runs to Charlotte. 8-5 victory for Western Kentucky against FIU. We were on the tops there at -145. Also, we took San Diego, who beat Portland 7-5. And then we finished off the night with 3 straight locks that came through. Oklahoma State shuts out Texas Tech. Sam Garcia pitched phenomenally. Oklahoma State won that game 4-0. Pokes are in the Big 12 championship game one final time under the Big 12 emblem. Bedlam, baby. Oklahoma State, Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship. Tennessee edges out Mississippi State. It took a little bit of comeback magic for the Vols to get that across. I mean, they were -250, so that would have been really rough. Again, it would have been another, brick for the podcast parlay. However, the Tennessee, Wake Forest, Chase Burns podcast parlay, both of his programs, comes through because Wake Forest and North Carolina, I mean, this game lived up to all the hype. I was anticipating it all day since the moment I woke up, and it freaking delivered. I mean, you had Burns who, absolutely dealt for the first half of the game, went 6 innings. He had 15 Ks, gave up no runs. And then all of a sudden, the Wake Forest bullpen imploded. North Carolina looked like they were going to win the game. Down to the final strike, Nick Kurtz blasts a double into the right center gap. He comes up later on in the game I think it was the 12th or the 13th inning, and he murders a ball to the left center, puts it off the scoreboard in left center. Of course, that's opposite field for him. Just ridiculous from that kid, the poise in the big moments that he came up in. So yeah, North Carolina, I'm not pressing any panic button there. I just think they're a really young team. So Wake Forest with some vets, I kind of expected them to pull that out once it got into the extra innings. But North Carolina just weathering the storm against Burns and then putting up runs on the pen was really impressive to me. So, I liked what I saw from both teams there. That's going to wrap up like our recap here. David Matola says Noah is a vampire. Sultan of SWAT 33 says excited for another day of baseball. Been listening to the pod all season long. First time I'm catching it live. Thanks, Noah, for all the work that you put in. Helms 22 says I went through a whole stick of deodorant yesterday, sweating games. Kay goes, damn Noah, hella respect. My boy up early giving out locks. I'm up late. I have not woken up. I have not gone to bed yet. So yeah, I'm not a morning person. I'm much more of a night owl than a morning person. Sunday Puncher 2009 says Kansas loss bought me, I butchered that completely. Kansas loss brought me much joy. Fitzgerald's antics are Bush League. The guy iced his own pitcher. I've never seen a Big 12 coach whine like this before. Sultan of SWAT 33, he says, what are tits worth? That was probably to my reference. Clemson's got a relief pitcher, Drew Titsworth, who's actually from my area. He's grew up an hour away from me in Michigan, and Bakich, with his ties in the Michigan recruiting trail as he was the head coach for the Wolverines, brought Titsworth down to Clemson with him, along with Jaron Purify and Jack Crichton on that team. Moneyline Ed said, good morning, everyone. Let's have a day. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much, Ed, for doing that self-promotion for me. Mailman Mike 3 said, smashed it, bro. Noah, you're killing these conference tournaments. Yeah, I'm having a real nice bounce back year this year. Last year, I lost a couple of units conference tournament-wise. It feels really good this year. I'm hoping it's just not going to flip-flop because I had a really nice NCAA tournament last year. So I'm hoping that it's just positive for both conference tournament and NCAA tournament, but we'll see. Sultan of SWAT said 15 Ks from Burns was magical. And Luke Binstead says Noah B is a beast. By the way, that place they were saying, oh, it's gonna be sold out. All the tickets they're now selling standing room only tickets. And I'm like, this is a minor league park. There's no way that these two teams are filling it up. Wake Forest, small private school. I doubted that that place would be bumping, and it was. It was pretty packed for about 8 innings of that game until it kind of started to, I wouldn't say drag on as a baseball fan, but it was late. It was getting close. It was, if not midnight, really close to midnight. And, just some people started to depart from the stadium, but that was a really, really fun game to watch. That beat out Arkansas Texas A&M as best game of the year so far, for sure. All right. Before we start picking some games, it's the biggest week in racing. The Indy 500, Monaco Grand Prix, and the Coke 600. Rod and Cody from the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and F1 Gambling Podcast have you covered. Make sure to join their Kyle Larson Diecast car giveaway that's free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/race to register and make sure to subscribe to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast and F1 Gambling Podcast. Plus, SGPN is running a Mega Memorial Day sale on our merch store. 15% off everything in the merch store using promo code SGPN-MAY. Again, these hat lines that we have are absolutely awesome. They're the Richardson brand. I go with the trucker mesh, but there's 3 different styles that you can get. Snapback, and then there's more of like a dad hat type style on there as well. And we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, because the NBA playoffs are here, and they're wanting to make it a lot more interesting for you guys. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats like points, rebounds, assists, and so much more. Make entries of all basketball or mix and match across your favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. Personally, I was writing nightly articles during the college basketball season. They have a ton of player projection markets on their pick'em portion. I was hitting at 62% during the season. I mean, when you're making a ton of money like that, or you're hitting at a high rate, you're making a ton of money, and that's what makes it a lot of fun. Underdog is available in 30 plus states, including California, Texas, and even Canada. They also just launched their Champions, which is their player versus player format in Florida. And also now they're legal in Michigan for drafting. So sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. Okay, we're back here on the College Baseball Experience. Chat is bumping. It's 7:04 a.m. We've had 140 cumulative tune into the show, over 25 on YouTube, on Twitter, over 75 currently. Elijah Epperson said, hit that like button, guys. Luke Binstead said, what are the chances Wake Forest wins it all? I feel like there's still good value in the College World Series market. The reason why there's good value in the College World Series market, honestly, Luke, is because the books took a lot of money, or if not, let me rephrase this. The books listed Wake Forest, and it's not even the books' fault, because Wake Forest entered the year as the number 1 overall preseason favorite everywhere. Every place that did preseason rankings, Wake Forest was number 1. So the books had them number 1. So they had a really cheap price on them the entire year. My prediction is they didn't get a ton of action. So right now they're trying to get some Wake Forest action. And that price really isn't going to move anywhere from where it currently sits. Personally, I haven't seen enough from Wake Forest to want to bet them to win the national championship before I see the draw. Once I see the draw, and maybe there's not somebody in their way that could stop them from getting to Omaha, I would entertain that. But currently, I don't have any Demon Deacons in my portfolio this year, and I don't really plan on it. It's just the offense isn't as good as last year's, and also this bullpen, like we saw today, makes me a little bit nervous. My face, aka Ferris Bueller, He goes, number 8, Wake Forest. Let's give him a round of applause. He goes, shout out to number 8, Wake Forest, Nikki Nukes. Thank you for the tip, dude. I really appreciate it a lot. We'll put it to good use for sure. Helms22 says, oh, hopefully I don't need more deodorant today. Jay Lederman 1 says, waking up to the sweet sounds of Noah's college baseball takes. And Helms22 says, let's talk some seam. Let's do that because we have there were plenty of games on the slate today, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There were 12 games that I was able to find pitchers on, and there's like 25 that are being offered right now. So it's going to be a quicker show. Let's jump into this. First game on the DraftKings slate, I'll do a quick refresh to make sure that we're getting the freshest lines. Oh, and one of the prices just went away on Western Kentucky DBU game. 9 a.m. East Carolina against Wichita State. Again, I don't know what the books are really doing, what they're seeing currently in ECU to be laying this much on money line with ECU, because this team is not playing well right now. Again, they played the 8 seed Rice for a second time this weekend and struggled. I would love the Shockers here at plus 160. I've already got Wichita State to win the AAC tournament here, so I'm not going to play anything in this game, especially not knowing who they're going to start on the mound. But at plus 160 compared to East Carolina, there's no way that I'd lay that 210 price with the Pirates right now. All right, that price just popped back up for Dallas Baptist in Western Kentucky. The Pats are minus 280, the Hilltoppers plus 210. Personally, so Western Kentucky won a weekend series against Dallas Baptist earlier this year. I like Dallas Baptist a lot this season. However, plus 210 with WKU, they've already shown the ability to beat DBU once this season. So I think this one stays under this total. We have totals for the first 6 games or so. Every game that begins before noon Eastern time, we have totals. We have run lines. I would really entertain a Western Kentucky plus 3.5 at minus 130. If I knew who was on the mound for WKU. But yeah, I think they'll be able to compete with Dallas Baptist. They've already done it once this season. So I'll be on the tops there with that good price. The next game here that we're going to talk about, we have pitchers for this one. Appalachian State's plus 175, Southern Miss minus 230. Ooh, big time thunder over my house. Hopefully we get this thing in and we don't lose connection. So App State plus 175, Southern Miss minus 230. Interesting price there for sure. But I do like Southern Miss here. So App State's starting Bradley Wilson. He's a junior right-hander. On the season, he's 3-4 with an 8.84 ERA, 48 strikeouts. He's got 41 walks in 57 innings with a 5.09 Sierra. And his last 5 starts, it's a 9.23 ERA. And then Southern Miss is starting Cross Sibley, a sophomore lefty, who's 4-5 with a 3.86 ERA, 48 strikeouts, 10 walks in 56 innings with a 3.54 Sierra. Southern Miss is a solid pick here. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to be one of my favorites for a parlay at the end of the show, but I think it's a candidate for sure to be a leg in a parlay at minus 230 there. At 10 a.m. Eastern in the Big Ten tournament, Indiana minus 115 against Nebraska minus 115. So here's the thing. Both teams TBA. However, I feel comfortable predicting that Will Walsh pitches for Nebraska. He's another starting pitcher that they have. The last one that they haven't used so far this week. He's a junior lefty, 4-4 on the year, 5.62 ERA, 38 strikeouts, only 9 walks, and 49.2 innings with a 3.93 SIERA. And like I said, here's the thing. Indiana, they had the day off yesterday because they were in the winner's bracket part of this pool. On Tuesday, they pitched their ace Ty Bothwell for only 51 pitches. After 3 days rest, the grad left-hander should be ready to go here. They've had a couple of injuries in this pitching staff, and that's what is creating this TBA because this is only their third game of the weekend. However, I think they're going to be able to go back to their ace here if they want to. Again, 3 days rest after 51 pitches on Tuesday. On the year, he's 6-2 with a 4.82 ERA, 73 strikeouts, 23 walks, and 74.2 innings with a 3.62 SIERA. So, again, I'm going to look, if I'm awake, I'm going to look closer to first pitch about this game, who's pitching, before I really give a confident answer. But as of right now, I'm going to take Nebraska because even though I think that Bothwell could throw, I am not certain that he's going to. And Nebraska's got an extra starting pitcher here that's ready to go, whereas Indiana is in a little bit of trouble when it comes to pitching depth right now. So the next game on the slate is at 11 a.m. start. Central Arkansas against Kennesaw State. The Owls, I think, are correctly priced here at minus 220 compared to the Bears plus 170. Central Arkansas had to fight through their way Pool B in the A-Sun Conference Tournament, whereas Kennesaw State, they did go 2-0 in the first pool. However, they didn't need to throw. They ended up throwing their ace and SP2, but they still have their third starter ready to go for this game, whereas Central Arkansas, they had to use everything just to get out of their pool. Now they're in the semifinals where it's a one-and-done situation. They don't really have much left. I don't know if this is the time where they're going to start throwing some guys on short rest or if they kind of just Johnny Holstaff this game against Kennesaw State. If they win this, then in that championship game, they'll use a lot of guys on short rest. So we'll see what happens here with Central Arkansas and how they want to attack this. But that's a really interesting game there for sure. Another 11 a.m. start. This one has been pushed back, so this was supposed to be played yesterday, but there was some weather where they were playing the CAA tournament. College of Charleston playing UNCW here. This is a really even game. It's set that way in the odds market as well. The Cougars minus 110, the Seahawks minus 120. I'm predicting, again, I don't have pitchers for this matchup, but this is both teams' second game of the weekend so far. So I'm predicting that College of Charleston is going to throw Jake Brink, a sophomore right-hander on this season. He's 8-2 with a 3.29 ERA, 59 strikeouts, 36 walks, and 87.2 innings with a 4.27 SIERA. And against UNC Wilmington earlier this season, he pitched 6.1 innings. He allowed 7 hits and 4 earned runs against. And then starting for UNCW, I'm going to predict that it's RJ Sales Jr., also their game 2 starter for much of this season. He's a junior righty, 9-3 with a 3.48 ERA, 81 strikeouts, 41 walks, and 82.2 innings with a 3.98 SIERA. Against College of Charleston earlier this season, he did not have a great start. 5 innings, he allowed 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 walks. So he really just couldn't find the strike zone there. He's going to hope for a little bit of a better outing here with the Seahawks. I do think that I feel a little bit more confident in the Seahawks offense being able to put up runs in this game compared to Charleston's. So I'm going to take UNCW here minus 120. Then we get to that game at noon where I was talking about it. My buddy, the assistant coach for Richmond, they're plus 180, VCU minus 238. This is only VCU's 4th game of the weekend. Richmond about to play their 5th. VCU, they don't have much pitching remaining. That's the thing. But Richmond is like, they've been piecing it together, mixing and matching the entire time. I really don't know who either team is going to throw here. Richmond, more desperate team. They could end up trotting out some of their starters from earlier in the week on short rest here, just to get that auto bid. But again, don't really know who's going to end up tossing. VCU murdered him in game one. They won by like 7 or 8 runs, I think. I can't remember. I just read it off like 20 minutes ago, but I'm going to take VCU at minus 238 there, but not a bet. And I don't really feel too confident throwing it into a parlay, I don't think. Also noon start time, Southern Illinois, Indiana State. This is another crazy price. I've said it every time Southern Illinois has played Indiana State. The Salukis are the Sycamores' best competition in the Missouri Valley Conference. Plus 180 is really reasonable. I'm going to jump on the Salukis here against the Six, just because Southern Illinois has played less games than Indiana State so far this weekend. They've got a little bit of an advantage there, and they've already beaten Indiana State once in this Missouri Valley Conference tournament. So we're going to take the plus money, the large price there with SIU, and move along. Also a noon start. So this one's kind of crazy. This is definitely a parlay piece for me. If Northern Kentucky somehow finds a way to lose to Youngstown State, I am going to go brain dead because I don't know how the Penguins are doing it right now. Again, this team has been really, really bad for much of the season. Yes, baseball teams are allowed to get better and play better and get hot, but there's a difference between a team that has kind of shown fight the entire season, but this team's got legitimately only 16 wins, and 10 of them came in the Horizon League against Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Milwaukee. So minus 250 on NKU, who's been a solid team the entire year, led the Horizon League Conference for quite a long time until Wright State took it in the final weekend. I like the Norse here. Another noon start, Wofford against Samford. 2 TBA announcements here for this game. I'm going to go with Wofford. They're the better offense. They are favored in this game too. So for what it's worth, Wofford is minus 145, Samford plus 114. I don't love it either way, but Samford after Michael Ross, they don't really have a ton in that weekend rotation. So yeah, I'm going to be on Wofford here. I think they might be able to outslug Samford, and that total being set at 15.5 tells me that there's going to be a lot of runs scored in this game. Give me the better offense with the Terriers. 12 p.m. East as well. In the Big East, this is the championship game. Georgetown and St. John's. St. John's would have to lose 2 to not get the auto bid here. I talked about this Johnny's team like 2 weeks ago. I really like kind of the pieces that the Red Storm have. I think they're even though they're not like a true mid-major, and they're definitely not as low major as Oral Roberts in the Summit League, I think they've got very similar pieces to that Oral Roberts team last year that made a little bit of a run to Omaha. They've got 3 solid starting pitchers. They have a lineup that is able to do it contact-wise, and they have one bopper. But yeah, like they have a Jonah Cox who has like a crazy on-base streak the last time I checked. In St. John's, this is their 3rd game of the tournament. They beat Georgetown in the opener of the tournament. Georgetown playing their 5th game here, or Georgetown playing their 4th game here. I like the pitching advantage for St. John's here. The Red Storm would have Evan Chaffee ready to go here. Freshman lefty, 3-0, 4.57 ERA. 47 strikeouts, 25 walks, and 61 innings with a 4.41 Sierra. Last week, he appeared against Georgetown. He threw 4.2 innings. He allowed 4 runs, 6 hits, 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. It's not amazing. It's not something that I want to get down on, but I do think that St. John's has a little bit of an advantage here over Georgetown. I do think they'll win one of these 2 games here today. So I'm pulling for it, as I do have some money on them getting to Omaha this season. 12 p.m. start time, Eastern as well. USC Upstate against High Point. The Spartans are minus 140, High Point plus 110. This one absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. High Point in the they came from the winners portion of the bracket. They've played 1 less game than Upstate here. And High Point, even though they have a TBA, they do have a weekend starter remaining, whereas USC Upstate does not. Going for the Panthers, I'm predicting that it's Brett Wozniak, senior lefty, 7-2 with a 4.82 ERA, 49 strikeouts, 33 walks, and 74.2 innings with a 4.68 SIERA. In his last 7 games, he's got a 2.89 ERA. High Point's plus money right now. This is priced completely wrong, in my opinion. Like, I have no clue who Upstate's going to throw. Both of these teams really similar. High Point, the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. They've played less games to this point this weekend in the conference tournament. Everything's telling me to jump on a High Point, and I'm going to. So High Point at plus 110 is going to be a bet for me. That's the first one of this show. And before we move on, I want to tell you about Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm has a menu of the best player props for every single NBA playoff game, making it easy to go through and find the best props to put your money on in seconds. Rhythm's predictions are backed by over 3 years of data and a team of data scientists and quants that focus on fine-tuning our algorithm to give you the best shot at winning. Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, pairs its predictions with player prop graphs to help you feel even more confident in the picks, which can make wherever you normally place your bets or DFS picks. From superstars to bench players, Rhythm finds the best player prop lines, all backed by AI data without you needing to endlessly scroll a sportsbook. Rhythm also allows you to create your own custom NBA models so you can get AI-backed moneyline spread total picks for every playoff game this NBA playoffs. Start a free 7-day trial and start winning your NBA player props with Rhythm, available wherever you get your apps. All right, we're home free here on the College Baseball Experience. Checking in on the YouTube chat. The Helms 22 says every single one too. That was in their conversation. John Peterson says I hold, or I had the right state over 16.5. It was 10-1 with 2 outs in the 9th. Ended up 10-6 final. That was a heartbreaker. Yeah, lost by the hook. I mean, they even teased you too, didn't they? Sunday Puncher 2009 said early morning unders are plays I like. They make a ton of sense logically. So I totally agree with you there. John Peterson said crushed it yesterday overall. He's on fire. Sultan of SWAT 33 says who's the better pitcher, TBA or Johnny Holstaff? Personally, I think Johnny Holstaff is cooler. But TBA is just much quicker to say, right? Chaz Wallace says, good morning, everyone. Good stuff yesterday, Noah. Definitely made decisions easier for a winning day. Channing Brown said, hey, live show just got up with the kiddos. Good morning, Shannon. Thanks for tuning in. We've got a couple more games to get through. We just crossed over the noon time slate there. We're going to jump into 12:30 p.m. here. Tulane minus 135 against FAU. No pitchers for this game, unfortunately, but I will take the green wave. I mean, their offense is marginally better than the Owls here. So minus 135 is really reasonable. But again, I don't really know who's pitching for this game. I don't have a guess either. So that's what's keeping me from putting money on this one. But I would feel pretty good about Tulane winning this. I think earlier on in the tournament, they murdered FAU as well. So Tulane, that's a good angle. Just wait for a pitching announcement if you want to end up betting that one. 1 p.m. Eastern. This is the first game of the SEC tournament semifinals today. South Carolina and LSU. We got the second game of the Michael Braswell Bowl. Cox are plus 135. The Tigers are minus 175. I don't have any pitchers, unfortunately, for this game. I really don't know or have any prediction for either one of these teams. I mean, you look at LSU, and I mean, They had struggled in game threes of weekend series the entire season. And now they're playing their fourth game of the weekend here. I have no idea who they would go and throw. Knowing Jay Johnson, I don't think it's going to be Gage Jump or Luke Holman on short rest. It's probably going to end up being like a Christian Little or something like that. Just somebody out of the pen that could maybe give them a little bit of length. Maybe Herring starts. I have no idea who goes for LSU. And as for South Carolina, Kingston said in the press conference yesterday after their win against Kentucky, it's just something that they're going to have to gauge in the morning. Who's feeling the best? They're going to mix and match in this game. So this game, I mean, don't ask me how LSU is getting priced at minus 175. I feel like both teams were able to put up plenty of runs in the first time that they played each other. LSU won that game at 11-10. South Carolina led it for about 6 innings at plus 135. Why not run it back with the Gamecocks and try to get jump on them for a little bit of a revenge angle just 2 days later? So that's my thought process. I'm going to be on the Gamecocks in that one. Also, at the same time, beginning in the ACC tournament, Wake Forest has a quick turnaround after wrapping up, doing all their press stuff after the game. They were out of that building after midnight. They turn around. They have a game at 1 p.m. Eastern. They're playing Florida State. The Demon Deacons are minus 145 because they do know who's starting here. Josh Hartle is going for the Demon Deacons. For Florida State, it's to be announced. I have a guess, though, of either Andrew Armstrong or Carson Dorsey starts this game. Armstrong threw 16 or 17 pitches in that Georgia Tech game earlier on in the week in the ACC tournament. And Carson Dorsey pitched a little bit yesterday against Virginia. He got rocked that he was taken out pretty quickly. So, I mean, him being a starting pitcher for some of this season as well, he could get the nod here. But honestly, I would lean more to Andrew Armstrong starting this game. But again, I don't have a really good guess at that. Josh Hartle, though, for Wake Forest, he's a junior lefty. He was supposed to be like really good. I even drafted him this preseason over Chase Burns. I'm totally paying the price for that in our fantasy draft league. However, Hartle on the year is 7-2 with a 5.58 ERA, 75 strikeouts, 23 walks in 69.1 innings with a 3.12 SIERA. Against Florida State earlier this season, 6.2 innings, 9 hits, 5 earned runs, or it was 5 runs, 2 earned runs. So 3 of those runs were scored via some errors. He had 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk. But the thing that nerves me about Wake Forest here is, 1, they were up super late last night. 2, it was a really emotional victory in the late comeback and extra innings win where they poured a couple more runs on after the Nick Kurtz homer. Plus the bullpen is extremely taxed. Like, they used, I think, 6 or 7 relievers in that game. They literally didn't have a guy that could comfortably throw a strike during the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th inning. So Wake Forest is in a little bit of trouble, even though we don't know the starting pitcher for Florida State. This lineup for the Noles gave Wake Forest a lot of trouble at the couch. Like, they were on the road, the Noles were, and they gave Wake Forest everything they could handle in that road series. So Wake Forest barely escaped with the series win. I think Florida State, they're going to come ready to play. They want to get a W against Wake Forest, even out that season series at 2-2. I'm going to be on the Noles here. It's a slight plus money price at plus 114. I don't think it's a terrible pick at all. 1:30 p.m. East, Louisiana Tech minus 175 against Liberty plus 135. To be announced pitchers for both teams here. However, the Flames, they beat the Bulldogs 6-2 yesterday. We're catching a plus money price here on the Flames again today, plus 135. And they've played the one less game than Louisiana Tech. I'll take the plus money. I'm not going to complain about that at all. Next game, 1:30 p.m., James Madison and Georgia Southern. Did I have pictures for this one? No, I do not. So, damn. Georgia Southern played the one last game. They're in the winner's bracket right now. Again, that's kind of all the analysis that I can really give you on these two teams. Georgia Southern's third starter this season is actually out with an injury right now. Higgins, he hasn't pitched since like the end of April. So, they're actually kind of even when it comes to pitching. So I'll take the better offensive team with the Dukes at plus 114. 2 p.m. Eastern start in the Big Ten tournament. Penn State against Michigan. I don't know why Michigan's catching these lofty prices when they are playing Penn State. I feel like these were the same two prices when these two teams played a day ago. But Michigan minus 180, Penn State plus 140. I literally think this is the exact same prices for both these games. We have TBAs for both teams here. I'm going to predict that Penn State throws either Frankie Sanchez or Mason Butash. They've both started some games sparingly this season for the Nittany Lions. As for Michigan, my prediction here is that they go with Jacob Denner. He's kind of like their do-it-all guy. He comes in out of leverage. He comes in long relief. He comes in to start some games. So I think Michigan goes with Denner. If they go for more of a traditional starter, it would be Dylan Vigue, the freshman, with like a ERA north of 750. However, Vigue came in for the final out last night, so I don't know if they would trot Vigue back out after throwing a couple of pitches and getting hot. So my guess would be that Michigan starts Denner. And if that's the case, I do like Michigan to win this game. I would not bet the Wolverines at the minus 180 price, but that's going to be my pick for this one. 3 p.m. East, Florida Gulf Coast against Stetson. Really kind of coin flip game here. Both teams kind of made sure that they got into the winner's bracket. And we're mixing and matching some of the starting pitchers earlier on in the week in the Pool A of the ASUN tournament. Again, I don't know if I totally agree with that strategy. Just throw your third starter or a couple of relievers. Trust your offense to get you one win in that pool, and then you advance out, and you're okay. But nobody really did that except for Austin P, and they ended up losing. So who the hell do I know? But I'm going to go with Florida Gulf Coast here. Stetson is playing on their home field for what it's worth, but I think FGCU's had Stetson's number this season, if I remember correctly. So I'm going to go with the Eagles. 3:30 p.m. Illinois State plus 130, Evansville minus 166. I'll take the Purple Aces here. Again, TBA pitchers for both teams. The Purple Aces beat Illinois State by 11 earlier in the week. Evansville has been waiting in this winner's bracket as well, so they played one less game than the Redbirds currently. I'm going to take Evansville with that advantage. 3:30 in the losers bracket of the SoCon tournament, East Tennessee State and Mercer. This is another really fun one, actually. Both offenses are going to have a field day. I think this is a game that you're going to see more than 15 runs in for sure. I'm going to take the Bucks and minus 125. I don't have a strong reasoning for it, but I do know that Mercer's pitching is just absolutely atrocious. So we're going to go with the Bucks in that one. 4 p.m. start in the West Coast Conference. This one is the championship game. San Diego's got 2 games to play with. If they lose the first one, they would have to lose the second to not win the tournament championship. They're playing against Portland. The Toreros are minus 175. Pilots are plus 135. San Diego, this only being their third game of the tournament, they do have a weekend starter remaining. It's TBA for both teams, but for what it's worth, I predict that San Diego is going to throw Logan Redman. He's a freshman right-hander, 7-2 on the year with a 3.48 ERA, 57 strikeouts, only 17 walks, and 67.1 innings. He's got a 3.69 Sierra in his last 4 starts. He's got a 1.08 ERA. However, earlier this season against Portland, he did not have a great outing. 4 innings, he allowed 8 hits, 5 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. So it's not something I want to take action on for sure, not knowing Portland's pitcher. Even though Redeman does have a solid line, the previous success that the Pilots had against him is a little nerving. But I'm going to end up taking the Toreros in this game for the picks page, and I'll move on. 4:30 p.m. East. This is the second game of the SEC tournament semifinals. Tennessee is minus 195 and Vanderbilt's plus 150. So Vandy has 2 guys available that can start games. Tennessee's only got 1. Here's the issue. So I listened to the press conference from Tony Vitello yesterday, and he said that they told Xander Sechrist to get warm in the warm-up because they wanted to win yesterday's game against Mississippi State for whatever reason. So that was Tennessee's last starting pitcher remaining. They've played 3 games in Hoover up to this point. They do have tremendous pitching depth. However, a lot of the guys aren't really experienced. There's not a ton of innings under their arms this season. So for what it's worth, they don't know who they're going to start. And Vitello said that they are going to, and I'm putting air quotes here, they're attacking this game in a different way when it comes to their pitching situation. So if it's Sechrist, if it's not Sechrist, he also mentioned that JJ Garcia could start this game. So yeah, that's really interesting. I favor Vanderbilt here, plus 150. They've got 2 guys here that could end up starting this game. The big mystery right now is what's going on with Carter Holton. I'm hearing that there could be a little bit of an injury question mark next to his name. I think Grayson Carter could end up getting the start here. That would be my prediction, is Carter starts. On the year, he's 4-2 with a 6.58 ERA, 38 strikeouts, 30 walks, and 39.2 innings, 4.54 Sierra. It's not an amazing line. He's been better out of the bullpen than when he started games this season. However, Vanderbilt's just like Tennessee. Vanderbilt's got great pitching depth, plenty of guys with good stuff in that pen that throw hard. Tennessee, they've got a ton of guys that are flamethrowers as well. I'm not questioning the pitching depth. I'm questioning that they have no guys really with experience left that have not thrown yet this week. So they're either doubling up some guys or they're throwing some guys with not a ton of innings under their arm. So give me the plus money at plus 150. Vanderbilt there. 4:30 p.m. East in the Mountain West Conference Tournament. The losers bracket here. The Bulldogs of Fresno State are plus 110 against Air Force minus 140. I hate to say it, but the Falcons losing that game to San Jose State, they really got curb stomped in that one. The Spartans put up a ton of runs against them. The thing is like when they're off at so Air Force. I haven't watched a ton of Air Force games for what it's worth. However, once their ace is through, this is a team that really kind of relies on the offense. And if they're getting outslugged, they're getting outslugged. I do think that they have an edge here over Fresno State, but not totally confident in that. It's only a minus 140 price. It's cheap. So I'll take the Falcons here against the Bulldogs, but not too confident in that pick at all. Here's a bet for you guys, though. We're going to take the Miami Hurricanes plus 140 against Duke minus 180. You're going to be some people might not agree with this, but here's the handicap. So Miami is going with Herrick Hernandez, their third starter. He's a junior lefty. On the season, he's only 3-7 with a 6.47 ERA. 86 strikeouts, 31 walks, and 65.1 innings with a 316 Sierra. However, when he faced Duke earlier this season, 6 innings pitched, he only allowed 5 hits, 1 earned run. He had 10 strikeouts against Duke earlier this season. And then Duke, I'm thinking they throw Kyle Johnson here. They've used Andrew Healy, and they used Higgins to start the game earlier in the midweek. Jonathan Santucci, big question mark as well. I don't know if they would even start him in this game. They would probably start him in the championship, in my opinion, if they even throw him at all this weekend. So Kyle Johnson is the guy that I'm predicting throws for the Blue Devils. He's a freshman lefty that has kind of hit that freshman wall this season. The season total line looks pretty good. He's 3-1 on the year with a 4.47 ERA, 50 strikeouts, 18 walks, and 46.1 innings with a 3.42 Sierra. However, like I mentioned, that freshman wall, he has an 8.69 ERA in his last 4 appearances. It's not great. Duke gonna have to mix and match, and when you're doing that game after game, it's a little bit taxing, especially in ACC tournament when you faced NC State and Virginia Tech, who Virginia Tech mainly just didn't stop putting up runs against you. I really think that Miami has kind of that, they are the dark horse that's hot right now in the ACC this week. All the freshmen are hitting that in that lineup, and I think Herrick Hernandez is going to be able to deal once again. He's already had some success against this really good Duke lineup, so I don't see why he can't do it again. At plus 140, I'll take Miami here. Duke minus 180. I'm definitely not touching that in a day where I've only found 12 games with pitching names that I even was able to come up with. This is one that I feel more confident in than others. So I'll take Miami at plus 140 as one of my favorite bets for the day. Miami plus 140. The next game here on the slate is Cal Baptist, Tarleton State. We talked about this one a little bit earlier. I have no pitchers for this game, but Tarleton State's been really hot. They're like the 7th seed in the WAC tournament, but they've been putting up double-digit runs in game after game right now in this tournament. So I like them at the cheap. It's a cheap price. Shit. I feel like this has moved. So to be honest, Cal Baptist has been one of the best teams in the WAC. Grand Canyon's no longer in this race, and without Grand Canyon, Cal Baptist is, in my mind, the next best team in this conference. At minus 125, I think Cal Baptist has to be the play. I just think that's really good value on a team that's been good the entire season long compared to a hot team right now. So for what it's worth, I'm not going to bet it, but I do think the Lancers are probably the better side in that one. Just 2 games left remaining. The last bedlam under the Big 12 emblem, Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. This is a coin flip game, and it shows it in the betting odds, minus 115 both ways. Oklahoma State won this weekend series earlier on in the year, and today I do think they're going to have a pitching advantage as Oklahoma, the staff isn't too deep, and for what it's worth, I think they've got 2 candidates that end up starting this game. Both of them have ERAs over 8 for the season. I think they could either start James Hitt or Will Karsten. Both of those guys haven't really gone too deep into any of the games this week. So for the Sooners, I think it's James Hitt or Will Karsten. Neither of them really good this season. For Oklahoma State, they do have one guy with a ton of innings under his belt already this year that is probably going to get the nod, in my opinion. That's Jansen Keisel, 3.37 ERA for him. Oklahoma State is been a team that I've really liked this season in the Big 12. I would wait for pitching announcements in this one, and if it's something that you like, I would encourage you to bet Oklahoma State. But with how desperate I think Oklahoma State is in this game, wanting Oklahoma State's going to be more motivated to knock out Oklahoma just because Oklahoma's leaving for the SEC. In my opinion, that's one reason why I like the Cowboys in this game. But the other reason is they would be more desperate and want to throw a guy on shorter rest that they've already thrown this weekend more than Oklahoma would. Oklahoma has already kind of locked up a top 16 seed. Oklahoma State's got something to play for this week. A Big 12 championship, a Big 12 tournament championship would help them and their own hosting case. So I like the Pokes here at minus 115 for sure. Then the final game of the day, the final game under the Pac-12 emblem ever, Pac-12 tournament championship, USC and Arizona. The Trojans are plus 124. The Wildcats are minus 160. And I'm going to bet Arizona here because USC this is confirmed. They have announced this. They are going to start Caden Aoki on short rest. And he has been their best pitcher this season. However, this is only going to be his fourth or fifth appearance after a shoulder injury. And he's thrown on short rest. I don't think that's the smartest thing in the world, to be honest. On the season, he's just 2-3 with a 4.44 ERA, 42 strikeouts, 9 walks in 46.2 innings with a 3.42 SIERA. And earlier this season, this is another main reason why I'm betting against him. 2.2 innings against Arizona. He allowed 9 hits, 9 earned runs. And this Arizona offense isn't elite by any stretch of the imagination. So that is certainly notable. Arizona's going to start Cam Walty, who's been their game 3 starter all season long, but you put him in another rotation, and this guy's really good. Walty on the year, 8-1, 2.76 ERA, 69 strikeouts, 12 walks in 78.1 innings with a 3.42 SIERA. And earlier this season against USC, 6.1 innings, 4 runs on 10 hits. I just think that he's going to be able to build a more solid outing than Aoki can. So I'm going to be on the Wildcats here, minus 160. That's my third final bet of the day. My most confident bet of the day here for sure. And again, another reason to love Walty in this spot is he's already got Pac-12 tournament experience as well. Last year, he pitched for the Wildcats in their run to the championship game in this conference tournament. So USC, I really don't like the idea of Aoki throwing on 3 days rest after having a shoulder injury earlier this season. And plus, he already got rocked pretty good by this Arizona lineup this season. So I really like that Arizona play at minus 160. That one's going to close much higher than what it's currently at right now. YouTube chat is absolutely bumping right now. We've got 60 people live in YouTube right now. Shout out to all you guys. I appreciate it a lot. Just sitting in here, chopping it up, talking some college baseball. Pirate, shout out to you, dude. We are huge Mike Leach fans here with the college baseball experience, college football experience. Colby had Leach's number and they were they would text nonstop. I mean, Colby never really wanted to talk football with Leach, even though Colby is a football fanatic, but Colby was able to, have some fun, and Colby being the comedian he is, Leach was attracted to that for sure. So Pirate says Hail State plus in the SEC tournament by facing 3 teams' best pitcher and Texas A&M's best bullpen pitchers. LSU hadn't faced anybody's ace. Hail State. Keep killing it on the picks, Noah. That's from MC. Shout out to you, dude. I really appreciate it. Billy Hoare said, how far you see Georgetown going? Well, they've got to win this game to get into the NCAA tournament. But, I mean, they're at the end of the road when it comes to the Big East tournament. They're in the championship game right now. Sunday Puncher 2009, he said Tarleton can't make the field of 64. These types of teams are super motivated to win. I totally agree with you. I'm just taking Cal Baptist at the minus 125 price. I think that the Lancers probably should be priced a little bit larger than that. Helms22 said, so not a lock, but a lean. I mean, there's a shitload of leans in this episode for sure. I mean, again, even in some of the games where I did read off pitching options, they're not probable. They're not confirmed by the teams specifically. That's just me trying to get out in front of some of the announcements and get some good CLV. I mean, even with this show, anything that I give out, it gets CLV just because we've got 1,000 listeners that download the podcast every episode. But yeah, I just think that's the smarter play. Helms22 says, I like Arizona. The board has some nice prices today. I mean, you're going to get nice prices without knowing starting pitchers. Once the pitching announcements start to come out, that's when you'll see some of these start bouncing around and taking form. Pirate says, Hail State, what are their chances of hosting after winning 20 SEC games, and was also screwed out of the SEC game against Georgia when they suspended all starters last 2 innings? I've said this a couple times on our show. Like, we're not only taking into account the final half of the season, you still got to take into account the first 2 weeks where Mississippi State dropped 4 or 5 terrible non-conference games. And to me, with the RPI in the low 20s, you already have it so propped up in the SEC. Like if you just have the winning record in the SEC and a reasonable non-conference, your RPI is in the 10s. And Mississippi State just didn't take care of business in the non-conference, and I don't think they'll end up hosting. It's unfortunate. Like, again, I've been on Mississippi State much of this season. I really like that team, and I like what they have on that pitching staff, and I think it's got the ingredients to become an Omaha caliber team for sure, with that pitching staff. And if Hunter Hines and Dakota Jordan find it at the plate again, but I don't think that's a hosting resume. Pirate says, according to the SEC rule, all those Tennessee players last night should have been suspended. They did the exact same thing that Hail State did that caused them a ball game against Georgia. Well, Tennessee, for what it's worth, was not in a active play. It was like time was called. It was a pitching change. It was a different situation than what happened Mississippi State and Georgia, where that was a live play, and players cleared out of the dugout. They were also running in from all the positions during the play. It was literally right after the tag at home plate. So it's 2 different scenarios. DT says, Noah, can you post picks on the picks page? I'm doing this show, and then they will be up soon. Like right after this show. I just got done picking all the games. Sultan of SWAT says, I'm up 166 units on the season using my baseball knowledge and pinging off y'all's shows. That's why I'm here. Shout out to you, Sultan of SWAT. That's a hell of a season for sure. Christian Swanson says, thank you, Noah, for doing all these daily shows. I mean, I appreciate all you guys tuning in. And this is, I guess, the rewards that I get to reap after, handicapping throughout the night and doing a show at 7 a.m. We get people actually jumping in, and now everybody's interacting. I like this a lot. Thank you all for tuning in. Christian Swanson, I appreciate it a lot. And somebody's got to do it, right? Ferris Bueller says, DT picks on the website after each. Correct. DT, okay, thanks. Sunday Puncher 2009 says, Indiana Penn State parlay, Big Ten bid thieves. Penn State would definitely be a bid thief. Michigan would be a bid thief, but I think Indiana's kind of already got a spot. Or if not a spot, they're close. And if they were to get to the Big Ten championship, the RPI keeps climbing a little bit, with every win that gets them there. I think the win over Nebraska would climb them enough to get into a large conversation on that bubble for sure. I wouldn't establish Indiana as a bid thief, though. There are better examples of bid thieves, I think. Sultan SWAT says, I think the only way Mississippi State wins They really value Duty Noble and the SEC hype, plus 2 if Indiana State and East Carolina lose today. And that second part has some truth to it, but Mississippi State with an RPI in the low 20s isn't going to be able to host. I don't think it's going to happen. Ferris Bueller says, what I'm doing this time is adding the score of all his winning locks, and that will be the tip. Chat, what do you all think? Let's make it rain on Noah. LOL, yeah, DT chill. Billy Horse said, so you stopped doing TikTok. I don't have time to do TikTok. Like I'm doing all this in the middle of the night and then I go to sleep. Ryan Kendall says, have you slept yet? No. But I am a night owl. I woke up at like 3 in the afternoon on Friday and I handicapped all these games throughout the night. I'm going to crash, wake up for the SEC semifinals and ACC semifinals games that begin at 1, and I'll enjoy a great day of college baseball. Christian Swanson said, you going to be in Omaha for the College World Series? I haven't decided that yet, honestly. I wanted to go as media this year. It doesn't sound like that's going to be able to happen. That's disappointing to me, at least, because I think they're keeping me out because of the gambling reasons. But I've been approved to college basketball games, college baseball games before. It doesn't make any sense. But I for those that don't know, Christian Swanson, I don't know how long you've been tuned into this show. I'm just a college, or I shouldn't say college kid anymore. I'm removed from college, but I'm still paying off student loans. So I don't have the money really right now to go to Omaha. I would love to swing it, but I don't know if I'll be able to make it happen. Because I just want to get out there and network. I don't even need to go to the games. Just give me an Airbnb and let me meet everybody. Ferris Bueller, he goes, Noah, you ignored my question before. If you're getting sick, take some downtime. We can't afford to lose you, literally. No, I always have really bad allergies. So, plus also the losing sleep doesn't help the allergies for sure. Helms 22 says, appreciate anything to get away from having to bet on MLB during the week is always goated. Yeah, for sure. Plus, college baseball is such a niche market. All you need is a little bit of information, a little edge, and you get to make some money. I'm choking up over here already. Sultan the SWAT. Thanks, Noah. Get some rest. I know I'm coughing like crazy right now. So that's going to do it. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Over 400 tuned in today. 8 a.m. Really appreciate it. And yeah, you guys allow me to do this for a living. So that's really cool. And I gotta go to bed. Go to bed so I stop freaking coughing and sniffling and whatever. So that's going to wrap up today's show. You've been experiencing the better side of college baseball with College Baseball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. Adios, amigos.